Does the game you love ever start to feel like it's a second freaking job? Can it feel like it's more of a chore to play 40K than just enjoying yourself? Well, if that's the case, don't worry, I've got your back because today we're going to talk about how to prevent burnout on competitive 40K. You're grinding reps, you're reading codexes, you're tuning lists. Guys, it can be a lot. The issue in 40K of burnout, it's real and it's very avoidable. Just like any hobby in the world, sometimes you can have a little bit too much, and we need strategies to make sure that we can maintain our love and, more importantly, or just as important at least, our enjoyment of the hobby. This isn't a job. Well, for me, it's a job, but I love my job, so it's perfect. So let's get into some strategies of how to prevent burnout. It's a real issue. I've come across this with some of my clients. I've come across this with a bunch of people in the Discord. So let's just freaking talk about it, because the worst thing in the world is to not enjoy the thing that you love anymore. So first off, what are the signs of burnout when you're just getting tired of the game? Here's a brief checklist, guys. Mental fatigue, irritability, feeling like you have to play, not want to play, be like, oh, dang, I've got a scrimmage I got to show up for, or, oh, I told Joe I would meet him at the club. When you start getting these things, that can be a little bit of a light bulb to you, where it's like, what's going on? But then you start noticing that you're in games and something doesn't quite go your way, and you're tilting. And no one's ever going to like knock anyone for getting a little frustrated when you roll snake eyes into snake eyes. That's going to happen to everyone. No big deal. But when you're just getting frustrated at the game constantly, when you're getting frustrated with your teammates, you're getting frustrated with yourself, you feel like you're not making any progress, you are really struggling here, guys, that's not a good sign. Dooming is a really big one, and this is one that I see all the time. And what's really important is that we identify these signs so that we can go through the solutions later in the video, where I'm going to tell you about how to fix this freaking burnout. So dooming is a huge one, guys. I see this on the internet, and I'm sure all of you see it all the time. If you're ever on Reddit, oh boy, it's probably all you see. People crying and complaining about the game. Oh, this is unfair. It's a broken, busted mechanic, all these things. Guys, you should be interested in trying to learn how to solve problems in the game, not just interested in complaining about everything you don't like about the game. You should like the game. Like, if you don't like the game, then you don't like the game. And if you find yourself falling into this dooming error, you might be affected by burnout, and we might need to have a little bit of a reset so we can refine our passion and our love for 40K. Now, what are some of the causes of burnout? That's a pretty important little issue. A lot of times, some of these causes are going to be just too much practice without purpose, just grinding games for game's sakes. If you're not playing games without a purpose, and mind you, the purpose can be as simple as I'm just going to have a beer and have fun with my friends. That's a great purpose. All right, that is actually a fantastic purpose. But if you're not having a purpose when you're playing these games, it can be a bit of an issue. Like, why did you grab that game at 9 o'clock on a Friday night? Did you grab it because you wanted to play Warhammer and you had fun playing, talking crap with your friends and drinking beer and stuff? That's awesome. Did you grab it because you need practice of how to deploy your all-dreadnought army on this particular map? That's great. That's a purpose. You're actually learning and you're growing from your experience. But if you're just playing because you're supposed to play Warhammer, that's where one of the things that really leads into burnout. And I personally have experienced this myself, where I've been running through in preparation for the WTC. I've done things where I've played 10 games in a week, and I did it week after week, just trying to get reps and get ready. And honestly, dude, it stopped being fun. Another thing that will cause Warhammer 40,000 burnout can be obsessing over meta shifts. And some of the obsession over meta shifts that was striking the Warhammer 40K culture right now is actually our fault. And when I say our, I mean us as content creators, because it's what's going to get clicks. Because people are interested in what's new in the meta and everything. So when we are constantly driving, oh, new, it can cause a feeling of being overwhelmed that could really strike people the wrong way. Then you got social pressure. We're talking about team expectations, rankings, and for the ITC, online visibility. This is something that I've struggled with sometimes. Hey, if I don't perform at that tournament, will my business suffer? So there are going to be things for people. If I didn't perform at that tournament, that means I suck at the game, and all this work I've been putting in for the last dozen years has been useless. It's not true. But it does feel that way to us, right? Then comparing yourself to other people's success. Well, I'm running this army, but when I look at Tim Schneider, he's 80-0 with his Votan, but I'm only 50 and 30 with my Votan. What's wrong with me? Bro, if you're 50 and 30 with your Votan, that means you're an amazing Votan player. Do you know what I mean? Maybe, oh, sure, maybe you're not the best player in the world, but that's an amazing result. You should never compare your success to other people's success. I see people doing this in a team setting all the time. So Anthony Vanilla goes out there and 20-0s everyone with World Eaters. But we're not 20-0ing with World Eaters. We're only getting 12s or we're getting 14s. Well, yeah, that's really good, but there's a whole context that you're missing. Perhaps Anthony Vanilla is very good with World Eaters, and no shade thrown his way. This is just the example I'm using. 2, his team has mastered the way to get him the correct pairings that allows him to get a 20-0. Maybe your team hasn't mastered the way of getting you pairings, the correct matchups, so that you're only getting 12s instead of 20s. There's a whole lot behind how people pilot these armies that just really isn't evident initially. So don't compare yourself to other people's successes. And then the big one is you don't celebrate and you're not recognizing small wins. This is something I see with a lot of clients at times, especially when you have people who are really good at the game already. The gains that you make in the game become incrementally smaller. So I'll give you a great example. I was talking to one of my clients who was performing at a major the other week, and they didn't perform the way we wanted them to perform. They went 3-3 at a 6-round event. It's not a bad result. They did fine, right? But for them, they had set themselves expectations of, I'm only going to lose one, or at worst, I'll draw one and lose one. And I understand why, because they're very good players. But they had a really interesting experience where what he did is he was in a match that he probably should have won, and he did a really, really dumb mistake, where he just exposed units needlessly. Everyone knows it happened. It was a dumb mistake. Whatever, get over it. It's fine. And he did get over it. And so what he did is after he made that mistake, he realized he was going to lose this game. So he decided, okay, it's time for me to practice as if I was playing teams. And in a teams environment, what you want to do is you want to lose by as few points as possible to improve your team's overall points differential. And so he did that. And so he started focusing on just scoring points and just denying points to his opponent. And lo and behold, interestingly, he took a 30-point loss to round 5, where all he had to do to win was make a 5-inch charge. And if he made the charge, he was going to win the game, simply because he started focusing on these other little details. Well, he ended up failing that charge, and he's like, oh, well, I lost the game. But that is a huge win, because what you did is you saw the value of what you can do, how much ground you can make up. You should celebrate that when you see, oh my goodness gracious, I made up such a deficit and I almost won a game when I really should have completely lost it, simply because I went back to the fundamentals and I focused on scoring points and denying points, not worrying about getting lost in the minutia of killing my enemy. That is a huge win, and you should celebrate things like that. So I just want to give an example. All right, here are some practical tools that we're going to use to prevent burnout. I want you to set goals by season or event, not endlessly. In another life, guys, I fought mixed martial arts. I fought Muay Thai. I was a competitive CrossFitter. I've done all sorts of sports. When you're training like an athlete, you don't train exactly the same 365, 24/7. It doesn't work that way. You will experience burnout where you just got to skip a few weeks going to the gym. Instead, what we do is we train in cycles. Leading up to big events, we're getting more repetitions in the gym. We're working harder with our training partners. 40K should be the same thing. You can have an off season for 40K. I know when I'm prepping for the World Team Championships or the World Championship of Warhammer, I'm putting more reps in. When I'm not prepping for one of those huge tournaments, I'm putting less reps in. I might still be really engrossed in like learning about the new armies and reading stuff, because I love Warhammer and I know you do too, but I am actively going to be doing less competitive stuff. It's a really important thing. The next thing that I want you to do is I want you to schedule non-40K weekends. And for some people, even just taking one weekend off a month can reset your brain. Guys, this might not be you, but some people play 40K at a different RTT every weekend. They do. I know it might sound crazy to you, but there's a lot of people where that just happens. Some people play every GT they have the opportunity to go to. But it's okay to take a non-40K weekend and go over to your friend's house and binge watch Lord of the Rings and eat and order pizza 3 times at the same day. That's okay. Do that every now and then. Give yourself a reset where you can get your dopamine hit from something else occasionally. keep some of your games just for fun. Now, when I play just for fun, I do this all the time. I actually have a blast when I play just for fun. I'll bring weak armies, I'll bring nonsense armies, I'll play in odd scenarios. I still play to win, so I still play correctly, and I don't do dumb things. I still try to win with those armies. But I don't mind if my army isn't strong enough to break through a certain unit, or I don't have the tools for every scenario. I don't even mind if I lose, because I'm intentionally bringing a weaker army for a narrative experience, right? This is fine. I'll tell you a real quick one, which really saved me. This happened earlier this year. I went to an RTT that I was personally hosting, and I just didn't have some of the models that I needed available. So I ended up bringing just a pretty straight up bad army. And I actually had the worst results I've ever had when I went to a tournament. But I had a game in there where I was matched up with a buddy of mine who is an amazing player as well. And they also had a bad army with them. They were trying out a Grotmist detachment. It was the Votan Grotmist detachment, and the army just didn't function. This was before they got their judgment tokens in that detachment, and so we both had bad armies, and we both played our hearts out. We tried like crazy to win, but what was funny is that neither one of us would have the actual damage output to be able to wipe a squad. So there was always a model left alive. And it became an exceptionally fun experience, even though we didn't have the best things. So I highly recommend occasionally you guys do that. And what was really interesting is that after I had this experience, I immediately went back to the drawing board and I got really interested and excited about min-maxing my armies again, because I got to experience fun with the slog of trying to win with a bad army. It's like, okay, let's get really back into this competitive thing. It helped me a ton. So I recommend you try that. Play with people who energize you. Guys, at this point, I don't play with people I don't like. I just refuse, because I only want to have fun with my game when I'm playing Warhammer. The only time I would ever play against someone who I just don't like is maybe if I have no choice at a tournament. That's the only time I would ever do that. I've got one particular guy at my club who I adore. He's one of my dearest friends when it comes to playing Warhammer with, and I always call him up when I want a game in person, because it's just easier to go and play with him. I know I'm going to have a blast. So avoid those toxic tables. And then lastly, guys, I really want you to practice gratitude. And it sounds very, very corny, but listen, remind yourself where you started. I'm just kind of reading it verbatim because this is basically what I wanted to say. Every great player once didn't know what a CP reroll was. Like, if you make a mistake, it's okay. Experience gratitude for where you are and for the hobby that you love, and for everything that it's given you, all the friends that it's made you, all the interests that it's spawned for you, right? Just enjoy that. Now, these are the tools that we want to use to prevent burnout. But what if you've already experienced burnout and you need to reignite your passion? Well, let's do it. First off, very easy. Go watch an old battle report that made you excited. And it doesn't have to be a battle report of great players. You can go watch Play on Tabletop. Those guys are not great players, but they make amazingly fun things to watch. I support them 100%. I love those guys. I think they're freaking awesome. And they actually do work really hard to make sure they get all of their rules right. Go watch one of their things. Go watch Tabletop Tactics. Go watch any of these guys who just do like fun, whatever, battle reports, because it's fun to watch. Get your brain in a fun environment for 40K again. Teach a newer player. See the joy through their eyes the very first time they roll 666. See the despair in their heart the first time they roll Snake Eyes and a Snake Eyes on a charge. Enjoy that. Play another faction just for flavor. You know what? I've always wondered what Chaos Knights were like. Ask your friend to borrow their Chaos Knights army and just go run that for a little bit. Just have fun with it. Host fun community events like a doubles or a draft style games. These can be really, 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 really fun. I've done these at our local tournament and so have other people, and it's always a blast. Solve a new problem you've never tried to solve before. Like, for example, earlier in the edition, before the Death Guard index detachment was fixed, I decided to take like a little bit of time to figure out, how do I make this index Death Guard good? Because I know everyone says it sucks. And you know what? I played a few armies. I played a few flavors of the army, and I did pretty darn good with it. I did it recently with Dark Angels. I've been running a specific Dark Angels list, which is pretty freaking good in Unforgiven Task Force. So it's actually really fun because it lets you flex your problem-solving skills. And then lastly, guys, go play another game competitively and realize, holy crap, 40K is an amazing competitive game. I did this maybe 2 years ago, right after the WTC. I was burned out. I didn't want to even think about Warhammer 40,000. So I spent about 3 months playing the Age of Sigmar, which was so much fun. Age of Sigmar is a blast to play. I love playing that game. And this was AOS 3, not AOS 4, mind you. And what I very quickly realized was that while I loved AOS 3, it was a stupidly fun game to play. It was a terrible competitive game. Every complaint that you have about luck in 40K, it's like to the nth degree of AOS 3. Now, by the way, guys, I do understand that this has been mitigated, and AOS 4 is actually much closer to a good competitive game, but AOS 3 was not. It was a lot of fun, but it was a terrible competitive game. So are a lot of these other games that I've played. I don't want to actually call any of them out, but I tried a bunch of them, and so they were fun. But as from a competitive standpoint, man, the complexity, the decisions, the strategy in them were much too basic, and there was much less under your control, like there is in Warhammer 40,000. So see it, and maybe if you do like one of those games more, then you can go play one of those. But anyway, guys, these are my tips for identifying burnout, for preventing burnout, and for reigniting your passion when you suffer from burnout. Okay, you're not alone. Every top player in this game will hit the wall. What matters is how you climb that wall back up, okay? How do you slay all the Tyranids when they're coming for Titus? That's actually another thing. Go read the books again. Go freaking play Space Marine 2 and slaughter hordes of gaunts. Get your passion back. You play this game because you love the challenge and you love the interaction with all of your friends. Don't forget that. If you need a break, take a break. It is A-okay. Get another hobby as well. I have a secondary hobby in this game. I absolutely adore working out. I love it. I've got numbers that I want to put up for working out. And don't be afraid that if you're feeling that you're doing something wrong, if you are feeling this burnout in Warhammer 40,000, because in all reality, guys, every single person in every single hobby experiences burnout. I have friends who are pissed off because they only have a 300 kilo deadlift. And you're like, dude, I hate you. Like, I've got a 220 kilo deadlift, and sometimes I feel bad that I have a 220 kilo deadlift, and I only weigh like 80 kilos. It's like, why would I feel bad about that? That's crazy. I'm not like a professional. It's like, I'm not going to be the guy who's trying to break the world record. So I should never feel bad about that, right? Just like you should never feel bad about having a few games in a row where you're just not having fun. So just take a little bit of a break sometimes, play a different game sometimes, play specifically for fun sometimes, reignite that passion. I love you. I hope you have a great day. Crump on.